we can get lost in ideas.
For me, my purpose has tied a lot to my pain.
Always comes back to this idea of human connection.
But they sacrifice that for just so much noise.
Having that feeling by seeing something visually of being understood was like almost addicting. That's what I love about this podcast. One thing I love that you and I do is we can get lost in ideas and conversations, but there's a theme with all of our conversations, and it's always around purpose and meaning and human connection.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this podcast is it seems like we're trying to just draw that out of people, you know? And I want to hear from you, like what makes you excited about a podcast like this?
Our guests that we bring on, and I work with leaders, and have worked with leaders for the last 10 years around very deep parts of their life, around emotion, relationships, family. And I start to realize for these leaders is they all have something that they want to share with the world. They have, and not like professionally, like here's what I do professionally, but something deep about why they live the way they do.
Yeah.
The struggles they've been through, the pain that they've walked through that have shaped who they are, what matters most to them, whether it's their kids or their marriage or creating a positive impact in other people's lives. And I love creating an environment where they get to share that publicly and make it cinematic for them and beautiful, where it becomes something that they would not just want to share publicly to their professional network. It's something that they'd want their kids to watch or their family to watch. I really think of these kinds of conversations as legacy pieces. My grandpa passed away a couple months ago. He was 96 years old. And for the last couple of weeks, we've been having these discussions around these heirlooms that have been passed down from generation to the next generation. And I just went to my parents' house and we went through all my dad's old stuff, my mom's old stuff, and what are we going to keep? What are we going to throw out? And what do I have emotional attachment to? And I love the idea that as these leaders' kids or these people we have on and they share their story, that somehow this episode would be something that those families want to store and keep as one of the most important conversations that they've ever had with another person around what matters, where they're headed, where they find meaning, and who matters most to them in their lives.
I think that's so great because we live in this world where everything is just getting flipped upside down on its head, and people are questioning everything because they're so scared or uncertain or just fearful of the future. And at the end of the day, like there is no future. There's just right now.
Yeah.
And we can like really get in our heads about losing work or what's AI going to do to my kids' lives or social media or whatever. But then it just kind of always comes back to this idea of human connection. And when that's present and pursued, man, that stuff has got nothing on it,
There's a quote that goes, no one will ever care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think kind of similar to what I want to do here with you is nobody really cares to know what you do until they know why you do it.
Yeah.
And the why behind what these leaders and, people only have so much time in their day. So I'm a very curious person. You're a very curious person. So I love drawing out for people and just asking the question, why do you, out of the 24 hours in your day, out of the 65, 75, 85 years on this earth, why do you prioritize what you do prioritize? Why do you give your time and energy to those things? And where do you derive a sense of meaning and purpose? And I think with AI, like you're saying, those are the conversations that are going to be the most important moving forward, because those are the questions that people are going to be asking in the future.
Well, I'm going to ask you that same question that you just said that you want to ask people here. Like, why do you prioritize what you prioritize?
For me, my purpose has tied a lot to my pain. So I have a lot of pain in my past that I've had to work through, and a lot of it is tied to leaders and people of power who did not use that power to help me
Mm,
flourish, but actually take a life from me, whether it's abuse or trauma or other things. And, that first initially inspired me to want to be a trauma therapist and get into the nitty gritty with people in those moments of trauma. But more importantly, I realized, yes, that's helpful to get into the trauma and heal the trauma.
yeah.
But almost as importantly, I wanted to help leaders heal. I wanted them to find their sense of purpose, a sense of meaning, a sense of connection with themselves and others. Because when we can help leaders and their families heal and be healthy, we change society. Instead of those leaders taking from others, they give to others. And that's kind of my mission in life, is to help leaders and their families pursue a sense of wholeness,
Mm,
whether it's in their life, in their leadership, in their relationship. And to me, wholeness is connection with themselves, connection with others, if it relates to them, connection with a higher power, and connection to their sense of purpose and meaning in life. So with
yeah.
themselves, with others, with their purpose, and with their calling. And to me, that is why I'm here. And the reason why I went through everything I went to is to prepare me for this time in this season of life, is to really do that work with leaders.
Yeah. Dang. I feel like you had that answer just like in your back pocket, ready to go.
Yeah, just up in my busy brain.
Yeah, for sure. That's interesting, man. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious for you on your side, Jay, like being a creative and being an artist and you know, a filmmaker, like how do you use, because this is a different setup. We got three cameras, it's cinematic, it looks beautiful, it's not just a over zoom. And there's something that's appealing to that of what we wanted to put out in the world, but you
Mhm.
put out really high quality cinematic film like work. Why do you think that's so important, that medium, versus just, recording off of a camera and then posting
Yeah.
it online?
It's so funny because there's like there's some people in my industry that think, okay, does gear doesn't matter and lighting doesn't matter. Just get your phone out and just
Right.
make content and get stuff out there.
Yeah.
And then there's like another side where it's like, no, no, you got to be intentional and everything. I'm more on the intentional side. Like I feel like gear does matter actually. Like lighting choice matters,
Mm,
and it all causes a feeling, which is that word feeling. To
mm,
me, I find such value in that word.
mm.
And that also comes from like past pain and childhood
Yeah.
trauma and all that kind of stuff. And I was alone a lot growing up. And one thing that I would kind of get lost in would be like movies and shows and characters on screen. I would see them having different emotions and feelings. And when I would see them, it'd be like, ah, I feel that too. It would almost be like a sense of feeling seen through whatever I was watching. And when I was younger, I didn't know what that meant. I just knew like, oh, that character is feeling what I'm feeling,
Mm,
and like I could relate. And then as I got older, and I've always just been this like super sensitive, hyper creative person. It's like, how can you make money doing that? How can you provide for a family doing that? And it's like, I just could never find it. And I didn't actually get into this career until I was in my 30s,
mm,
or late 20s. Actually, I don't even remember when I got into it. But it was, I didn't go to school for it or anything like that. I just like, I always came back to creativity and feeling,
yeah.
and that idea of feeling seen. And like, to me, like, I don't want to feel seen by like you. Honestly, I could care less if you see me
Mm,
in a way of like, you understand me. I think it's more of a, I want to feel seen to myself
mm,
or understood to myself. Like growing up, I had the same thing of like not feeling good enough, my parents not understanding me,
mm,
people around me not understanding me, and then having that feeling by seeing something visually of being understood was like almost addicting.
mm.
So when I would watch movies, like I always like one of my favorite movies, Interstellar. It's like there's certain emotions in that storyline where I just like
So good.
I feel seen in that,
Yeah.
and it's like it makes me feel more like accepting of myself.
Yeah. Like something gets unlocked inside of you, some
Yeah.
emotion that comes out in
Hmm.
ways that only movies and music and art
Oh
can do
yeah.
inside of you. And I think that's true for a lot of people in the
Hmm.
world, but they sacrifice that for just so much noise
Oh
And I
yeah.
think
And
what and
shallowness.
shallowness. And I think what I would love to do here with you and what we're trying to do, I would say, is curate these refinement of conversations around meaningful things and producing it in a
Yeah.
way that evokes emotion and ignites something inside of people's hearts instead
Exactly.
of just noise and data of like,
Yeah.
wow, I walked away and I actually felt something.
Right.
And when we feel things, the the language of emotion or feelings actually comes from the same Latin word of motivation.
Hmm.
So we can't be motivated to make change in our life unless we feel something deep on the inside.
Right.
And what I want to do is I want to evoke motivation inside of others to go, wow, I felt something there. And I want to change the way I choose to show up with my kids, the way I invest in my marriage, the way that I think about how I live my life with
Hmm.
intention and purpose and meaning and joy. But no one's ever going to make those changes unless they feel something deeply and they
Yeah.
connect with it. And I
Yeah.
think movies and art and music and lighting and all that has to do with us as humans just craving to feel things.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly what I want people to experience. I
Yeah.
want people to experience the reason why my why behind doing this kind of stuff is because I want people to experience what I experience when I feel
Yes.
that feeling.
Yes.
I want them to be able to put themselves into a character, whether that character is me, you, or somebody that's a guest on here. I want them to be able to place themselves in that character, feel seen, feel accepted, feel understood in a way that is internal for
Yeah.
them.
And I think for leaders and their families, we think that those people get seen all the time. They really don't.
They don't.
They
They
get
probably
seen.
they never get
They
seen.
never get seen. They never get asked these kinds of questions. They never get a chance to share what really matters to them because it's the pressure to perform. And then you get
Yeah.
home and then you have stressors as a dad or a mom or keeping things, keeping up with the Joneses and all of these things. And we think that those people's lives are just so easy and beautiful. And there's some beautiful elements of it, but they're often some of the most lonely people
Yeah.
because the inside of who they are never gets to be represented on the outside
Yeah.
because they have to represent an image or a persona that is just fake and
They're playing
false.
a part
Yes.
instead of just being themselves,
Yes.
which I mean is necessary in situations of leadership for sure, but then like it can be real easy to just keep playing that part
Yeah.
and pushing down who you are.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think the first step is they need to figure out who they are, what their purpose is, where they're headed, and what matters most to them. And that's why I love doing what I get to do is because I get to draw that out in people.
Mhm.
And then once they find that, the natural byproduct I've realized is when people find their purpose and they find what matters to them, they want to share it with the world. But where do they go to share it?
Yeah.
They don't have social media accounts typically. They don't have big platforms. So I love that this is an opportunity for people to come in and go, hey, I have something to share with the world, something meaningful, not just about my business, not just about a product I built, but about why I believe I'm here
Mhm.
and what matters most to me. And maybe it'll inspire and influence someone else. And I think that's a beautiful gift to give to someone. And I think that's really why I love having people on and giving them a platform to share where they find purpose
Yeah.
and where they find meaning.
Yeah.
The way that I've been given a platform to be able to do that literally professionally. I get to help people discover that. And as I help people discover that, I myself get to fulfill my purpose. So,
Mhm.
as a way to give back, I love creating with people like you, and I love co creating with other leaders to say, let's get your voice heard so that you can have the same feeling, like you said, that I have of being able to have impact and purpose in the world. Because artificially, with artificial human connection, we're going to lose the ability to have authentic human connection and feelings.
Mhm.
And in the future, we will literally have, and they're already doing it through Neuralink and some other things, where you can modulate what emotions you want to feel and to what degree. So in the future, imagine having the option that if you don't want to feel sadness, you don't have to. If you want to amplify joy and pleasure, you can. What is going to cause us to not push that button and shut down sadness? And to me, it is that we somehow have a good vision of what is the purpose and meaning of pain
Yeah.
in our lives. And to me, pain is an opportunity pain leads to our passion, and our passion leads to our sense of purpose.
Mhm.
The other thing that pain does is it gives us the ability to connect in meaningful ways with people that we love in ways that joy and excitement can't. So there's going to be an option in the future where we will choose to sacrifice human connection for ease and comfort. And I do want this podcast to help prepare people to remember what matters most. So when they have that choice, Jay, like they choose the thing that matters most, not
Right.
the easier thing as the option that will be there in the future.
The sad thing is I feel like that's already present and not
It
necessarily
is.
with technology, like with substance abuse.
Yep.
You know, people choose to bury pain with, alcohol or drugs
Mhm.
or different addictions, or they try to amplify it with the same
Yep.
things. So I feel like it's already present, but with technology, it's just another avenue for that, and it might be a little bit easier
Mhm.
and healthier
Mhm.
physically, but it's just another way. And I think it's a constant human struggle to face those things.
And everybody has, the other thing I'd say about that is everybody has a story that deserves to be told.
Hmm.
And their story is not just their successes and their LinkedIn profile. It is the pain that they've gone through and how it's shaped who they are,
Yeah.
and their where they find a sense of purpose and where they find true joy in life. And the ability, I've sat with, hundreds of leaders sharing their story. And what I've realized is I'll sit with them and I'll ask them, when's the last time you shared your story like this with somebody all the way through? And they're like, I've never shared my story like this.
Yeah.
And you see something unlock in them where they start to make sense of who they are in their life as they start to share their story.
Right.
We're meaning making creatures. So if we don't have safe places or just places to share our story of pain and passion and purpose, it's going to be really hard to understand who we are. And it's going to be really hard to understand who other people are.
Yeah.
So in a way, this is a platform to help others connect with themselves and connect with others.